Hey, how's it going, everyone? Just thought I'd pop in and give a quick update on what's been going on. Haven't posted a video in a while. I'm just on my way to go camping, actually. I'm on my way to pick up my son right now here in Ontario, Canada. We're going camping. We go to the same spot every year, and it's a spot where we've had all our Sasquatch encounters, and well, not all of them, but the majority of them. And it's become a father-son trip, and we go the same month, the same week every year. And the last 2 years, well, it's only been about 3 years we've been going. And the first year they were whooping in behind our campsite. Woke me up at about 3 a.m. and they whooped over 50 times. I know because I counted. They were in increments of 5, and then another one would answer with 5 back from a different location, like maybe 20-30 feet away, and then another one would answer in a different location, but always 5 whoops in a row. And it was at least 10 of those back and forth, which would be 50 whoops. And who knows how long they were going before they woke me up. So my wife and I were in one tent, and my son and his girlfriend were in another tent. And I was trying to wake them up so they could hear it, but I also didn't want to be too loud, and so the Sasquatch would hear me and then stop whooping. And also I didn't want to wake up other campers. So finally, eventually, I woke them up after about 5-10 minutes of calling his name, and they heard it too, because it went on for about 20 minutes of the whooping. So we all heard it. And it was at that point, I've always been into conspiracies for like at least 20 years. Watched every documentary on everything you can think of, from 9/11 to UFOs, aliens, Sasquatch, everything. So I already knew 99% I believed that they were real. But I thought, if they were real, they're in the Pacific Northwest, BC and Canada, Oregon, Washington State, etc. So to realize at that point that not only are they real, but they're here in Ontario, Canada, was like just shocking to me. And it validated everything I thought, that they are fucking real. And so yeah, every year since then we've been going back. And last year we left them a gift basket. They didn't touch it, which is common. Some people get results from that, some people don't. I left toys, marbles. This cell phone stand I have, I may have to hold it. Just friggin' suction cup just fell off the dash. Let me try and see if I can put it back on. No, this is crap. Sorry guys, technical difficulties here while I'm driving. What's the best way to do this? If I go that way, I'll flip the phone around. Let's see. Try not to get in an accident here. Okay. There we go. Hopefully that holds. It's on the windshield now. I had it on the dash before. Hopefully the glass is better suction. Anyways, where was I? What the heck was I saying? Oh, the gift basket. Yeah. So we left a gift basket last time with a bunch of toys and marbles and beef jerky. Never touched it. In fact, I left it there all summer, and we went back in the winter to do a hike there, and the basket was still there with everything in it. So I even had a little Sasquatch figure, maybe like a 6-inch figure that I got off Amazon, and nothing was taken. This year I bought some more goodies that I'm bringing up in a gift basket, and we'll try it again. And I'll take a picture of the gift basket when I get there. It's about a 3-hour drive from my house, and about a 2-hour drive to pick up my son first. I hope this camera angle's okay. I can't tell. But anyways, yeah, so I'm excited about that. We're going, I should be there in about another hour and a half. And my goal this year is to capture them whooping. Unfortunately, the first year I was there, we didn't capture any of the audio of those 50 whoops, of course. I know people are gonna say, yeah, sure. But honestly, all 4 of us can vouch for it. In fact, I'm gonna make a video with my wife's son and his girlfriend all talking about that experience. But my cell phone, I used it for the GPS the whole way up, and it was completely dead. And we were staying at a non-electric site, so I wasn't able to charge it. And so yeah, I couldn't even like hit record on my cell phone to capture it. And like I said, at that point, I had no idea they were even real. And if they were, I had for sure didn't think they were in Ontario. So I had no audio recorders or nothing at that time. So since then, I've bought an audio recorders, thermal cameras, trail cameras, all that kind of stuff. But yeah, unfortunately, I didn't capture that. So last year, we caught them doing the barred owl call all night, every night for like 5 nights straight, as they were crashing through our campsite every night. Not through our campsite, but our campsite backs onto the forest, and probably about 30 to 50 feet in, they come through our site, pass our site every night after midnight, and then they, on the way back, they go back again before sunrise around 5 a.m. And they go back. I believe they live at the lake there. There's a lake that's about a half-hour hike, and I don't know why they come in the campsites, but I actually caught the barred owl on audio, and I made a YouTube video on that. I think the title is something like "Surrounded in Her Tent by 800-pound Owl," something like that. But of course, the recorder, I only had one recorder at the time, and it was far enough away that it picked it up, but not great. But you can still hear it on the video, but on my YouTube video. Hear it? By the trail. Just getting my audio recorder closer to the window. Holy fuck. Hearing this? But this year I bought 3 more Tascam DR5 recorders, and they're they're really good recorders. So I'm gonna place shit, it looks like it's about to fall again. Let me see if we can tighten this. Where's the friggin' thing? Oh, yeah, it's falling off. Yeah. There we go again. Okay, let's try this again. So my phone friggin' whatever it's called, mount, fell off the dash. Tried the windshield, just fell off the windshield, so I'm gonna have to hold it as I drive. Yeah, excited for camping. Hopefully we catch some evidence that and if we do, I'll post it when I get back in a week. Hopefully we can catch some whoops. That's my main goal right now. Highly doubt we're gonna catch any video evidence. I put out 2 trail cams last year where I know they crossed the trail to go on behind our site, and of course nothing. So it's either they can cloak, and the camera doesn't pick them up, or my other guess is their eyesight, they're able to see the infrared from the cameras, and that would possibly explain why the only really good photographs or video has really been the Patterson-Gimlin film, because they were using an old 16mm camera. Everything's digital now, and so I think they can see that. There's two locations I have where I know 100% that they live. One's about an hour from my house, and the other one is where I'm going camping right now, 3 hours away. And I'll never give away their location, and that's not because I'm selfish and I don't want anyone else to know. In the Bigfoot community, it's for two reasons. Number one, if people know where they are and I'm out researching, you could have pranksters out there in the forest, making Bigfoot calls, and I think I'm recording Bigfoot calls and it's just pranksters. So that's one reason. And the main reason is I just don't want anyone knowing where they live and pushing them out of their home, that they've probably been there for centuries in a lot of locations. So yeah, I just, I don't want anyone scaring them out or harassing them or whatever, right? Putting stress on them. So that's the main reason. So yeah, when I go out, I find the best way, at least at this location, is let them come to us, have a campfire. My son brings his guitar sometimes and play music, and every night they come through our site. I don't know if that's why. I don't know if they're chasing a deer in there, or if, like I said, I found on Google Earth a small lake that the only way to get there is to go through a corridor and behind our campsite. That could be where they're going every night. Okay, so we just arrived at the campsite, and immediately we came. Actually, I don't know if you can see it. Our campsite's about, 150 feet away. And we walked in here to where I left the gift basket last year. And we left it all winter here. And we left it on this rock, this mossy rock here. And you can see where the moss grew around the gift basket, where that square imprint is, where there's no moss. That's where the gift basket was. So they took it. I don't think any camper's coming all the way back here. You can't even see it. It's all covered in foliage. So nobody would be able to see the basket. So I'm pretty sure they took it finally. And we've looked around, my son and I, we don't see any remnants of the basket or any of the stuff that was in the basket. So that's good news. They finally found it and took it. But I did get a new basket for them this year on the way up. So we'll put that one out tonight. And I'll take a photo of that before we put it out. But yeah, this is about 100 feet from our site, and this is where they cross every night. And this is what it looks like. I'll give you a panoramic view. That's my son Owen. And yeah, so hopefully we get some good evidence tonight. It's supposed to rain from midnight till noon tomorrow, so I know they don't like to come out in the rain as much. But the rest of the week looks nice and sunny, so hopefully we catch something. Okay, so here's a shot of the gift basket I got them. We're all set up. We arrived at the campsite. We got everything set up, and it's about 7:30 p.m. So it gets dark here around 9 o'clock, maybe sooner in the forest. So yeah, hopefully we'll get some action. Oh, and well, I made a video earlier, but the basket that we left last year, we took a walk in about 50 feet back that way, where we left it on a rock, and it's gone. But you can see the imprint where it was on the rock, because it's all mossy everywhere else except where the basket was. Anyways, I got him a bunch of block letters, some dinky cars, marbles, and a cool looking ball here. It's got some sort of bell in it or something, so little balls. So hopefully if they pick it up, we'll hear it. So I'm gonna put this basket in the forest where they took the last one in about, 20 minutes. I'll go back there and put it back there. I'll take a picture when I do. Okay, I was just talking for 10 minutes and it wasn't recording. Anyways, let's start over then, I guess. So yeah, it's about 7 a.m. Tuesday morning, August, I don't know, 14th or something, 13th, and 2024. And I just stopped to go for a little hike after work here. I worked night shift last night. I just wanted to talk about camping a little bit. My camping trip I just had with my son. We got back Friday. And anyways, I just came across this tree structure here, so let's check it out for a minute here before I continue. Very interesting. This was not here about a month ago when I was here last. Huh. Very cool. Yeah, well, there is a beer bottle there. Interesting. Oh, a few beer bottles. A couple of beer bottles. 5 of them. So who knows if it's man-made, but if it is man-made, what the frig is it? Its purpose. It's not really a structure a homeless person could sleep in or anything. It's just like a bunch of leaners kind of interwoven at the top. Anyways, let's keep going. Yeah, it goes down to a valley down there with a creek, and this place is actually quite large. This connects to what's called the Bruce Trail here in Ontario, Canada, southern Ontario, and it goes along the whole escarpment. Escarpment's like a mini kind of mountain, very small, maybe like 200 feet in height. So I'd hardly call it a mountain, but yeah, it goes all the way from Niagara Falls to Tobermory, Ontario, which is about 1,000 kilometers of all forest and trails. And so I'm still trying to determine if there's Sasquatch down here, because they can come and go through the cities through the Bruce Trail here very easily without being detected. They travel at night. Also through obviously train tracks and hydro cuts and all that, but there's all that kind of stuff along here. And I have found a lot of tree structures around here in Burlington and Milton and Oakville, a lot of southern Ontario here. So I mean, that's not proof that it's them, but I mean, nobody's ever actually seen them making the tree structures, but I've never actually seen anyone else make the tree structures either, any humans. So, and most people think that they do make these structures, and a lot of them are kind of strange for a human to make, because they don't really, like I said, they're not really they're not a fort, they're not a place you could really sleep in. A lot of them are just arches and X's and tree breaks and kind of teepee structures that are too small to sleep in, or even too small for a fort for kids. Some of them are bigger, but yeah. So anyways, make sure it's still recording. Okay. So yeah, so I just wanted to talk about my camping trip with my son. We just got back on Friday, about 5 days ago, and I've been reviewing the audio the last couple days, because I have about 96 hours of audio to go over off of 3 recorders. So it's going to take a couple weeks, and yeah, it's quite a crazy trip, especially the last night. Here's a tree break pointing to the trail. Let's zoom in. Yeah, it's about 8 feet tall where the break is, and then points to the trail. Yeah, so we caught, there's a huge tree pushed over very close to us as we were sitting at the campfire one night. Just loud crash, and there's other campers around too. But yeah, everybody heard it. Everybody kind of stopped talking and all the sights for a couple minutes, and then they started on again. But it was there was no wind that night, absolutely nothing. So it's very odd. You could tell it was pushed because you could hear like a pop from it being cracked and then pushed over. This is interesting. I mean, that log there has been cut, but then there's another log in between the branches there. Who knows? Anyways, yeah, we got the typical barred owl calls that we always get that they mimic. They were doing that every single night. Again, as they're crashing through our site, sometimes it was far off in the distance, so I don't know how well the recorder is going to pick it up. Hopefully, like I said, some of them were louder than others the closer they got. But yeah, I know I knew if I didn't hear the whoops 50 times the very first year we were there, I could very easily dismiss it as a barred owl, just an owl. But because of how loud they are, and because they're coming from the ground as they're crashing behind our site 50 feet away, and not up in the trees like an owl would be, and just like I said, the decibel, the barred owl has the same decibel as a dove, and these were much louder at certain times when they were close to us. I understand things echo in the forest, so sometimes they sound louder than they are, but it was definitely much louder. So yeah, hopefully I'll be able to catch up. I'll make a compilation video once I go through all the 96 hours of audio I got here, and whatever I capture I'll put in a short compilation video. Anything that's significant. Hopefully it picked up that tree crash. I had 3 recorders spread out, one about 50 feet behind our site, the other one across the road on the trail where we hear them coming in every night, and then another one about 100 feet away from that on the same trail. But next year I got to get more because there's just so much ground to cover, and these recorders can only, they're amazing when they're in range, but they can only pick up noise so far away. And it's a massive place, over 34 kilometers of trails. So yeah, next year I'd like to have at least 10 of these recorders spread out all over. And then the last night I didn't have a recorder at our campsite because, like I said, they were in those 3 locations, all about 50 to 100 feet away from us. But the last night was absolutely insane. I don't even know where to start or how to explain it. So we went to bed early because one thing I've noticed this year, I don't know if that's a tree structure. No, it looks like it's deadfall. But yeah, one thing I noticed this year is I tried to pay attention to their patterns a lot more this year. They tend to come out more. They waited, at least in a campsite. Maybe it's different if you're out in the middle of nowhere with no one else but yourself camping. But I was in a large provincial park here in Ontario, and they seem to come out more frequently once everybody's asleep. Once all the fires are out and everybody's in their tent, after about half an hour to an hour, once they think everyone's asleep, that's when they really start to come out. You can just hear them. You can hear them crunching. You can hear them doing the owl calls. But this year, I noticed they were a lot more cautious than they were the last couple of years. Like the first year, they were just whooping as loud as they could 50 feet behind our tent. Didn't give a shit who heard. It was strange. And it went on for like 15, 20 minutes. Then that was 3 years ago with the whoops. Last year, they just did the barred owl call. It's almost like they wised up because we knew the whoops. And I think it was kind of my fault because my son and I, we went through the forest last year during the day whooping and stuff. So I think they realized that we were onto them. So they wised up and they started doing the owl calls, because they probably know no other animal makes a whoop noise. So I'm not sure which way to go here. Yeah, this goes down to like a little creek down there. Yeah, so they were, but even last year they were still pretty loud. But this year they were super cautious. Like last year they would come out like 8 p.m. even when the campers were awake and having fires. There's a rabbit in the middle of the trail. Let me see if we can zoom in. It's not a cheap little camera. There he is. Yeah, so last year they were still a little more, they take more risks, but this year they were super stealthy. Like I said, they wouldn't come out till after everyone was asleep most nights. And so the last night I said, let's go to bed early, because all the other campers they usually go to bed before us. We're usually the last ones awake having a fire. But the last night I said, oh, let's go to bed early to see if they'll come out. And sure enough, they did. And about 1:40 a.m., I actually fell asleep for the first time. The rest of the time I stayed up like till 7 a.m. every single night. So I was super tired by the last night. Fell asleep and I was awoken to, we forgot to put the garbage away. It was hanging on a tree. Just a bunch of water bottles and pop bottles and stuff, or pop cans. And I could hear, I was awoken to at 1:40 a.m. because I remember looking at my phone after, and something going through the trash. I could hear it. It's because it was like literally the tree was about 10 feet from our tent where the trash bag was. And yeah, you could tell it wasn't a raccoon, because you could hear it like putting a hand in the bag and sorting through the plastic bottles and stuff. It wasn't, it was doing it very meticulously and stealthy. It wasn't just like a raccoon would be thrashing. There would be garbage all over the ground. So as soon as I heard it, I woke up, had my flashlight beside me, and I thought, okay, this is it. I'm gonna have a sighting up close, 10 feet away. So I was very careful, trying to be as quiet as I could, getting up from my mattress. And they were still going through the bag. I could hear it, the bottles and stuff moving around in the bag. And I jump up, then 2 seconds, turn on my light, shine it out the window, right at the bag. Nothing's there. The bag is on the ground. I shine the light around, looking for a raccoon on the ground, looking for them. I could just tell it was them. You can just tell it was like a hand and an arm going through the trash. It just sounds much different than a raccoon going through trash. I've heard that many times. And there was nothing there. Absolutely nothing. So I immediately unzip the tent and jump out, all within like 5 seconds, shining light around everywhere, looking for raccoon on the ground just to be sure, even though I was positive it wasn't. And I hear running in all directions, crunching in the forest, but I can't see nothing. Nothing there. Like, what the fuck? So I run out about 50 feet into the forest where the gift basket is, where I hear all the crunching coming from, where I think they're running away, trying to hide. And because, yeah, so I didn't even care at this point. I just was brave, and I was like, I need to see one. Like, this is pissing me off that you guys are going invisible or whatever the fuck you're doing, or you're just super fast. But literally, I shone that light within 2 seconds, and I still heard the bag crunching, and there was nothing there when I looked out that window. This was about 1:40 a.m. And then, so I went out there about 10 minutes talking to them in the forest quietly so I didn't wake up other campers. And then I said, here, you guys want some food? So I went back to the site, back to the tent, went in the cooler, Grabbed some hot dogs, a loaf of bread, and what else did I get? A thing of blueberries and a banana. And I put it on the picnic table, which is directly in front of one of the windows on the tent. And then I went back in the tent and I said to my son, fuck, I blew it. I said, we're not going to get any more action. That was my one chance to see one up close. And I fucked it up. In hindsight, I don't know if I fucked it up or they can just cloak and there's, I don't know. Anyways, yeah, so I thought, you know what? They may come back for the food because clearly they were looking for food in the garbage bag. And once they saw that I put the food on the table, I said, they're probably not going to come back again and risk it because because of my actions going out in the forest and shining the flashlight everywhere and shining the light on them. They knew I was, onto them, unless they just thought I thought it was a raccoon or something. But so I thought, okay, there's probably a 1% chance they'll come back again tonight because they're not going to risk it. But if they do, they're not stupid. They're not going to come back right away. They're going to wait about an hour till I fall back asleep. At least that's what they're thinking. So I stayed in the tent and I had my flashlight in my hand, ready to go. I had my thumb on the button and I stood there. I stood up in the dark in the tent because it's a large 9-man tent that you can actually stand in. It's like 7 feet tall in the middle. So I stood there in the dark in the tent for over an hour. My toes were going numb because it was actually cold out. And I didn't have any socks on, and I'm getting cramps. My lower back's in pain just from standing in the same spot because I didn't even want to move an inch. I didn't want to crunch the floor, crunch my mattress, nothing. So looking around here. So yeah, so eventually I can hear them all around me crunching from different directions, slowly move in like 5 feet. And then they started throwing pebbles on top of the tent, on the tarp on the tent. And you could hear just little pebbles. And I think they were testing to see if we were awake or asleep, to see if we'd react to it. And then we didn't react. I was staying perfectly still. And they keep getting closer every few minutes. They move like 5 feet at a time, crunch, 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 snaps. Trees or branches snapping on the ground. They would step on. And then I just remained perfectly silent. So at this point, they're thinking I'm asleep, but they're still moving in cautiously. And this is going on all around me, like almost like they're circling the whole tent. Holy shit. Oh my God, I just found a large teepee that was not here last time. Wow. Okay, I think it might answer my question if they're here in Burlington. Population here is about 185,000. Holy shit. This was not here a month ago. This is like the second teepee I found in a 10-kilometer radius here. Holy shit. Let me zoom out a bit. Wow, that's a good, holy fuck. That very tip one is almost 18 to 20 feet tall. And at the peak point there, you're looking at 10 feet. Look at this. Interesting. So you can't go in this. So if somebody's making this as a fort, why? You can't go in it. It's just a teepee circling around a big log or a big tree stump in the middle. That is so freaking cool. So anyways, let's get back to my story as I keep filming this. Yeah, so I could hear them circling all around me, moving in slowly. Like I said, about 5 feet at a time. You'd hear a few crunches in different directions, and then they stop, and they'd wait. And then more pebbles would hit the tent. And then all of a sudden, a huge, sounded like a baseball-sized rock gets thrown at the tent, but it ricochets off a couple tree trunks. It's like, boom, clunk, 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 and then thud. You can hear it hit the ground right in front of the tent. And I caught that on audio. I already reviewed that one, and it was nice and loud and clear. So I'll include that one in the compilation video I make later. But yeah, Holy shit, this teepee's so cool. Interesting. Yeah, so they threw a rock and I didn't wake up. I didn't react to that one. So I think that was their cue that I'm asleep, for sure. So I'm listening, wait another 5 minutes. All of a sudden I hear jogging by the tent. Like I said, I'm in my bare feet and I hear bipedal footsteps running beside my tent toward the garbage bag again. Not little raccoons, you wouldn't even feel those footsteps. I actually felt the vibration on the ground. It was like 3 or 4 steps, like almost like a jog, or maybe that's just a normal walk because they have longer strides. So it felt like a jog, but I could hear it and feel him kind of breeze by the tent. And then I felt another one on the right window of me because I was standing up. All the windows were open and it kind of stopped right beside the window, almost like it was looking in. And I could tell, I could just sense its presence, and I heard it step twice and then stop. And I didn't want to shine the light because I wasn't 100% sure, but I was 99% sure. But I thought, I'm gonna wait for the one that's going in the garbage, and hopefully he'll go over to the picnic table right in front of the window and take the food, because that's a clearer view for me. And last time I wasn't able to see him at the garbage, so I thought I'm gonna wait and be patient and hopefully get a better sighting right in front of the window at the picnic table. So all of a sudden I hear going through the food again. The garbage bag's on the ground at this time. I left it there. And so I hear the same thing, like a hand sorting through the plastic bottles, crunching and stuff. And there's just a bunch of food wrappers in there. We didn't leave any, there's no meat or anything in there, but so then it stops. So I'm like, okay, wait, don't shine the light yet. Not if I go too early, I'm gonna miss it again. I'll just run off or cloak or whatever. So I'm waiting. About 5 seconds later, after I heard something rustling through the garbage, I hear something on the picnic table, like trying to be super quiet. It's almost sounding like they were picking up the blueberries because it was in a plastic container. And I could hear like a very quiet crunch of the plastic. So as soon as I heard that, I jump up, shine my light at the window at the picnic table, nothing there. Literally, I was there within a second. Nothing fucking there. I shine my light all around, nothing. No raccoons, same thing. I run outside, shine my light everywhere. I hear running away in different directions, and I hear crunching and snapping of the twigs. And yeah, it's just fucking, it's insane. It's crazy. If it was a raccoon or a bear, I was there within 1 second. I would have saw it. Raccoons are slow. I've caught them many times. They run away, but they run slowly. I shone my light up the trees, see if they ran up a tree. There's no fucking way any animal could have gotten away that quick. So 2 things are happening. 3 things maybe. They're either super fucking fast, and we know they're fast, but I don't think even they're that fast. Like at worst case scenario, I would have caught them running away, caught their back, but I didn't, nothing. Second scenario is they can cloak. And then people might think, well, why don't they just stay invisible all the time if they can just cloak? Well, I think they can cloak, but it takes a lot of energy out of them. So I only think they do it as a defense mechanism when they have to. But they can't do it for very long, in my opinion. This is all theory, because it probably, like I said, uses up a lot of energy. So, or what's the third option here? I had a third theory too, but I can cloak. Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head, but it's fucking bizarre, man. I should have seen something 2 times. My heart was pounding. I was holding my thumb on the button on the flashlight, thinking I'm about to see a Sasquatch 5 feet away from me, shining my light in their face. Twice. My heart was racing, or my heart was pounding. Fucking, I was like super nervous. Not afraid, but just like excited nervous, like I'm about to see one. And up close with a light in their face, like a clear view. I thought 100% I'm about to see it. I know it's there. I know this isn't an animal or a small little raccoon. I can just tell by the way it ran by the tent and vibrated the ground. It was like heavy footfall. And fucking nothing. Just absolutely mind-boggling. And I know no one's going to believe this because I don't have any evidence, but I don't care. I thought I'd share this story anyways. It's just my experience. And yeah, I don't even know what to say. I know they're there because we heard them whoop 50 times 3 years ago, right behind our tent, like probably 30 to 50 feet in behind our tent in the forest. And I know they come through our site every single night. Like I said, I looked on a previous video, I looked on Google Earth, and there's 2 tiny lakes that are only accessible by going behind a corridor behind our site. It's all forest behind our site, and then there's other campsites on the other side, but there's a huge forest behind our site that goes, it's 4,000 feet exactly to the lake, 2 tiny lakes. But what's strange is I think they live at another lake, which is a half-hour hike away on the other side of the trail, which they come in on, which is a huge lake. So I don't understand why they need to go to these 2 little lakes every night when they have their own lake where they live, where I assume they live. And we actually tried to find the 2 lakes this year, but like I said, they're inaccessible through trails. So we bushwhacked. We went outside the park and we parked on the road on the shoulder, and we hiked in and we bushwhacked, but we couldn't find it. And after getting home, I looked on Google Earth again, and we had to go about 2,000 feet more to the left. So we were off a bit. So next year I'm going to try again, because I just want to see if there's any tree structures by this lake, or see what the hell's going on there, and possibly why they're going there every night, because that's the only thing I can think of why they'd be going behind our site every night. But yeah, it was just an unbelievable experience. Even though I didn't see anything, it was just knowing that the only thing separating me from them was 2 feet distance and a thin layer of tent. They literally ran by my tent and stood by my tent twice on the last night, 2 feet away from me. I was like holding my breath. I was trying not to breathe. I was trying to do everything so that they thought I was asleep and not awake standing there. But yeah. Anyways, I know this isn't evidence or proof of anything. I just wanted to share my story, and hopefully I caught something on audio. It's cool. And actually, I keep forgetting to mention this, prior to the 50 whoops we heard 3 years ago, about 8:30 p.m. we were sitting at the campfire, my son, his girlfriend, my wife, and I, and I heard something in a deep, loud voice it sounded like a Native American language, and I should have wrote it down at the time, but from now on I'm going to, because you always forget. But it sounded something like Nayagawa, like really deep and loud, and very Native American sounding. And I looked at my son and everybody at the campfire, and I said, "You guys hear that?" They're like, "Yeah." And I just kind of brushed it off as it must be a drunk camper or something next to us, because it came from in the forest, but it was like there is a site next to us. So I thought, well, maybe it's them. But subconsciously I must have known, and I said jokingly to them, because at this point I had no idea if Sasquatch were even real. I believe they were, but I didn't know, and if they were, I thought they were in the Pacific Northwest, not here in Ontario, Canada. So, but subconsciously I said to them, "Oh, what would be scarier, to see a Sasquatch here or a bear?" And they just started laughing. But why would I say that after thinking about it in hindsight? I said it because subconsciously that's what I thought it was. And then later that night at 3 a.m. I was awoken to them whooping super loud, so loud it was vibrating your chest. And they did it over 50 times over like a period of 15 to 20 minutes. And we all heard it, and it sounded like you were in the fucking jungle. Here in Ontario, Canada, the only thing we have is like bears and deer, black bears, like, and not even a lot, not in southern Ontario, more so in northern Ontario. So yeah, I wish I had more time. It's about 3 hours away from me, this spot, and I work 7 days a week right now, so it's really hard to get up there overnight. But yeah, hopefully I'm gonna try and go out one more time before the fall, maybe in first week of September or something, for a weekend. But yeah, so anyways, when we woke up in the morning, I was thinking, why were they so brave last night? Why did they come right into our tent? That's the first time they've ever done that. And woke up about 9:30 after getting to bed about 6 a.m. And I drove down to the bathrooms, and every single camper on the 2 streets beside us were gone. Not a single camper was there. Everything was gone. Like, every site was empty. And the thing is, checkout is not till 2 p.m. So I thought that was pretty odd that everyone was gone by 9:30 in the morning. We didn't even hear anyone leave. And there were a bunch of campers beside us the night before. Or at least I thought. I know there was one beside us for sure, but they were gone by 9:30. And we didn't, like I said, we didn't even hear anyone pack up. But so I'm thinking, because I kept hearing crashing coming from other people's campsites. But the other campsites were across the road, and they didn't back onto a forest like ours did. They backed onto other campsites. So I thought, why are they crunching and snapping trees and running in through people's campsites? And I thought, oh, they must be doing what they're doing on our site, and maybe tonight is the night they go look for food in people's sites. Squirrel up there. So maybe they're going to all the campsites looking for food that people might have left out. Until I woke up in the morning and realized everyone was gone, and then it made sense. They were more brave because no other campers were around except us, and they were able to have free run to other people's campsites. If you know, like, if we woke up or whatever, they could take off, and they had more places to hide and run to. So that made sense after. Also, a couple times we did a night walk one night at 3 a.m. and as soon as we got over onto the trail, fucking something landed right at our feet, like a giant rock, like a thud, and it came from up in the tree. And that happened a few times, at least 3 or 4 times over the 4 days. And you look up in the tree and you don't see nothing. So I know I've heard people say that they've seen them cloaking up in a tree. Like, I heard one encounter where they could see like the top half of their body, but the legs were kind of like invisible. They could see them kind of like shimmering or whatever, kind of like the movie Predator. So, yeah, I don't know. I know it sounds crazy, but this is like my second experience now where it was very supernatural. Like, I had another experience in Milton, Ontario, at a conservation area where I left some apples in a bag on a teepee. And I came that night, and then I came back the next morning at like 6:30 a.m. I was the only one there. There's no other cars in the parking lot. And I walked in to see if the apples had been taken. Oh, this is cool in here. Let me go that way. There's a bench here. I never noticed this before either. What does that say? Interesting. Sanctuary. So, sit down for a minute. Yeah, this other conservation area in Milton, I went to go check on the apples to see if they were taken, and I was almost at the teepee, and then all of a sudden I hear a crunch to my right, like a snap, like something stepped on a stick, and it broke. And I immediately turned around and looked behind me about 20 feet where the sound was coming from, and there was nothing. And there's a giant pond beside the sound, and then me on the trail, and then about 20 feet in between before it hits a pond of just, you know, trees and stuff. And there was nothing there. And I heard a loud snap. I looked up the tree to see if, you know, a raccoon or a squirrel's running away. But this was much louder of a snap than they could make. But I still looked anyways, just in case. And there was nothing there. So I thought, okay, that's strange. I turned around and kept walking cautiously. I took another 5 steps, and then I heard another snap right in front of me to the right. I instantly looked right to that spot, and there was nothing. And this isn't thick bush. These are like clear trees that you can see through if there was an animal or anything there. And then, like I said, the pond. And again, nothing there. I didn't even make it to the teepee. I immediately said, okay, I can take a hint. And I turned around and I, at a regular pace. I didn't want to run because, you know, predators chase you when you run. But I mean, we don't know what Sasquatch are, if they're predators or whatever. But I thought, I'm not going to run. I'm not going to show fear, even though I was scared shitless. And I just calmly walked back to the car. Nothing happened after that. But again, that's another incident where I clearly heard something. I looked instantly. There was no animals. There was absolutely nothing there. And I know it was him. You could feel a presence. Like the hairs stand up on your arms and stuff, and you just know there's frequencies and vibrations, and that's all we are. That's all energy is. It's transmitters of frequencies and vibrations and electromagnetic fields. And I could feel the frequency from them. I could feel the energy. Let's go this way. I haven't been this way. And yeah, I just knew it was them. So that instance and what just happened on my camping trip makes me think there's an excellent possibility that they can cloak or go invisible, because which is the same thing, obviously. But yeah, I don't have any other explanation. I know what my eyes saw, and there was nothing there. And I looked instantly. There was no time for any animal to take off. If they did, I would have saw it 100%. So yeah, that was my camping trip. I'm sure there's a few things I'm leaving out, but I'm working on a video once I get all the audio done, and I'll put a video out shortly, and this little dialogue will be included. So yeah, that's it for now. Okay, thanks.
Turtle Island Sasquatch.